Hey Jordan, it's Dr. Scott. I have some feedback for you on your Essay 2 draft. Just as a reminder, the things that I'm looking at for this assignment are your ability to write a thesis statement that's got a clear argument, an interesting argument. Also looking at your ability to use details from the murals and from a couple sources to support that argument. Also looking at organization and transitions. And organization means that you're grouping similar ideas together, but that you also have a reason for why you've located or you placed ideas in a specific location. And then finally, I'm looking at your ability to integrate those sources. So that's what I'm looking for. And what I have here is just some notes to myself that'll be over off to the side to remind me of things to talk to you about. And I'll just kind of go through and discuss my feedback. First body paragraph goes on for a bit. It seems to be doing the work of a body paragraph and an introduction. And it felt like here you were taking a stab at trying to write a thesis statement. The thing that's missing at this point from the paper and from this statement is that the argument's not necessarily there. Just saying that the murals show growth in the town economically and rebuilding of a community, that's kind of like more of an observation, and there's not really much of an argument there. Now, what you can argue is that a sense of togetherness or the just how tough the town is what helped them rebuild, but just kind of saying that they did rebuild, there's not going to be much to that. What I kind of noticed in the body paragraphs is like you had a paragraph about one mural and then a paragraph about another, and that often leads people to just kind of summarize what's happening in the murals, and I think that's kind of what happened in your essay. So this first body paragraph, again, you've got a great eye for detail, and that's awesome, and some of this detail may be helpful to you in body paragraphs, but right now it's not really, it's not being used to support an argument. It's just saying, here's what I'm noticing about this mural. Okay, like I said, bringing the two murals together is kind of essential for your revision. Having one paragraph about 37 and another paragraph about 1940, that often leads people to just kind of summarize what's going on in the murals, and I think that's kind of what's happening in your paragraph, or in your body paragraphs. You got great details, which is good. I'd be really concerned if you were just kind of summarizing, yes, there's a car here and then a car here, but you actually have really you have good detail throughout these paragraphs. And then we have this paragraph here where you are kind of bringing the murals together, and that's great. It's happening pretty far into the paper, and what we'll need is to come up with a thesis statement that allows you to do this in more places, and where you kind of cut out completely the summary about the 37 and the 40 mural. We just kind of don't. That's not helping you support your argument. This is really the only paragraph that is, it seems like to me, that where you are trying to support an argument. Okay, small stuff here, not a big deal at this point, but comma splice, you've got two sentences that are coming together with just a comma. If I remember correctly, this is something you kind of do a little bit often, but it's not that big a deal. But just so you know, when you have this, so you have a sentence here, in 1937 mural, there's no distinction of bright colors at all used in the painting. The center of the painting where it's shown is in light gray. That could stand alone as a sentence. Actually, you've got a comma splice here and a comma splice here. So a sentence, 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 and you need one of those 7 words, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, or so, to combine with a comma. Again, not a big deal at all. I think, I was trying to think of ways to ask you questions about your ideas about the two murals that could help you come up with a thesis statement. And I think what you do a really good job of is noting the contrast between the two murals. The next step to get you to a thesis statement would be to ask, what does that contrast say about the town? What does that, having that very significant contrast and very closely to each other, like the murals are pretty close to each other, what does that contrast say about Portsmouth? I don't necessarily have an answer for you there, but I can tell you what some of the other folks, what other people have written about. There's some students that have written about, we see a lot more people in the 1937 flood mural, which they believe puts an emphasis on togetherness in the town. And so, like, some arguments that I've heard is like, when the chips are down and when things are really tough in Portsmouth, people kind of rally together. But when things are going good, like, we really kind of do our own thing. And I think that togetherness idea is the thing that you could kind of argue, because I could look at that mural and I could come up with a different interpretation. So for me, the contrast, that's something that you do a good job of noting, and I think that is an idea to consider exploring to come up with an argument. So here's your little to-do list going forward. You do need an argument. What does the difference between the two murals say about the town and its people? I just talked a little bit about an option there, but there are other options. Then the next step is to figure out, all right, how is that message, how is that argument conveyed? Color's one way, but there are others. And those become, those hows become your body paragraphs. The first two body paragraphs summarize the murals. They don't really support an argument. By and large, they're going to need to go away. You'll need to cut them. Now, you might be able to use detail in those murals to support an argument, but by and large, those two paragraphs will need to get rewritten. Okay, that's it for now. I am happy to help you out with this. If you need to talk multiple times this upcoming week, let me know. Your revision is due Monday the 12th. If you need a little bit of extra time, I can work with you on that. But looking forward to seeing where this goes. All right, Jordan, that's it for now.